All right, what about now? How's that sound? Let me say, can you hear me? All right, tell me now if you can hear me. I apologize. New computer took a second to get set up. So can you hear me? All right, sorry about that. You know, when you get a new computer and you don't want to go through all the settings. So anyway, I think we're good. I think we're going to have better time than we did last week. What I was saying, if for those of you that are not liberators, the format for these is typically Q&A. Okay, sometimes I have a guest, sometimes I don't have a guest. Next week I'm planning to have a guest, my friend James, who y'all may have seen on here before. James is my salesperson. He works for a company called Harold's, but he's the one that taught me about weed control and fertilization. He's a true expert, and he's going to be on here. It's kind of fertilizer season for us in the warm season grass areas. I guess for those of you in cool season grass areas, maybe y'all been fertilizing for a little while too. So we're going to talk about fertilizer. Of course, we'll take the question on anything. So that'll be next Monday night. Is the plan. So anyway, got the technology part. That's the hardest part of doing this today. Okay, and I was saying last week what I was getting at. We had little issues for those of you here. I thought it was my internet at first, but when I come around, I'm almost positive now it was my actual computer. Okay, my computer acts a little crazy. I got a better computer, and now, so I think we should be good. All right, let's see if we can take some questions here. Sounds good. We can hear you. Those are good comments. Thank you for letting me know that. All right, let's see here. Jason, what's your favorite lawn grass type? Well, and me in Alabama just dealing with the warm season grasses. I will say I'm going traveling a little bit further north this week, so I think I'm going to get a chance to put my eyes on some of the cool season grasses. But for us down in the South, I like zoysia. It's probably be my favorite, just aesthetically pleasing to look at for my area. And I like that it's just versatile that you can put it in, under trees and things like that. Like I have this Zorro zoysia, which was at my house. I just have a little bit under some crepe myrtles. Supposedly it's the #1 ranked zoysia from the NTEP, which I think is the National Turfgrass Evaluation Program, where they do a lot of tests on different kind of grasses for color and all kind of things like that. So they rated this the best kind, and it looks great. It looks a lot like emerald zoysia. But I like zoysia, but I've got most of Bermuda in my house. I've got several acres, and I'm trying to make it look really nice. It's been a process for sure. What's the best backpack sprayer? I hadn't tried all of them. Like I know that I think it's Strom. I'm not sure how you say it. STROM. I haven't tried that one, but I see it gets recommended a lot. The ones I have a Jatco. I always get confused if it's Jacto or Jatco. Anyway, regardless, I have one of those. And, for the money, I think those are great. I just have the one you pump up. And then I've got the Milwaukee backpack sprayer one. Mine, I've had zero problems out of. But I have heard some people, have a few issues out of them. I like mine. But, there's other good ones. So those are just two that I have. And I don't have any complaint. Honestly, a lot of times I use the little 2-gallon handheld sprayers. I don't know why. I use the backpacks too, but I keep a lot of sprayers on my truck. It's probably not necessarily ideal, but not counting my big tank sprayer, I've probably got 7 sprayers on my truck. Now, I may not use them all at the same time, but like right now, let's see what I got. The backpacks, I don't think I have anything in them. The one sprayer, I've got glyphosate and SureGuard, so that's like for spraying flower beds. One, I've got just glyphosate in case I need it for something. Another one I've got Change Up and ProSage in. Another one I've got Celsius and Certainty in. And another one I've got Blindside in. And then I think I'm going to mix up one with like Solitaire for like wild violets or crabgrass or something like that. So I use a lot of sprayers, not necessarily. All right, Dylan says Echo. Are you saying that I'm echoing on here, or Echo is your favorite best backpack sprayer? So if I'm echoing, I apologize. I hear an echo, a bit of an echo. Okay, so there is an echo. Let me see if I can adjust the setting real quick. Apologize again. It says echo cancellation on my echo cancellation is on here. Let's see. Do not turn this on unless you have a high quality microphone. This setting enables audio processing features like echo cancellation. Get echo cancellation turned on. So it's supposed to be helping with that. I apologize. We'll make the best use of it. I may have to invest in a better quality microphone. All right. Sorry about the echo. Let's see, Jason, what do you use to kill Dallisgrass with? All right, so there's several options for Dallisgrass, none great. So in the summertime, the best thing to use that's not legal. Okay, so don't. This is not legal to do on residential properties anymore. But the MSMA it will knock it out of a Bermuda grass lawn. Now it's going to really mess up other kind of grasses. When it knocks it out, it's going to take multiple applications when it's hot. But as far as legal options, what you can do is if you just got a little bit, then you may just spray it with weed killer and just be done with it and let the grass grow back. I know that's not the most professional answer, but sometimes that's the easiest way to get rid of it, or a shovel or something. If you got a lot of it, what I do is, let's say it's Bermuda zoysia lawn. Now, if you got other kind of grasses, it's almost a lost cause. But you can use a few products in the fall. So you can use Celsius and Certainty combined together, or you can use Manuscript, or you can use Tribute Total. There's probably other products, but any of those, and when it starts like October time frame is supposedly the best time to go after. So you might do 2 applications, like one in October and again in November with whatever those products you want to use. And then follow it up, the first signs of it coming back the following spring, spray it again, okay? That will get rid of some of it. But the other option is with glyphosate on the Bermuda lawn. I use 32 ounces per acre. Now, if you got like a yard that's just covered in it, 32 ounces per acre. And I'll just say I don't think it's going to kill all of it, but it will definitely ding it up. You do it when it's dormant. The problem is if you do it if you wait till like January and everything's just totally dormant, then it doesn't always work as good. I mean, just to be honest with you, you almost need a day when it's dormant, but the weather gets hot, has been hot for a few days, and the Dallisgrass is starting to perk up and have a little life to it. Because if it's super cold, the Dallisgrass is not going to take in the herbicide as well. So anyway, I use like all those, I'll pound it with like Tribute Total in October and November, then spray it with glyphosate in the winter. Then if it comes back, I spray it with Tribute Total again, or Certainty or Celsius in the spring. And then if it survives that, I may just try to finish it off with some glyphosate. So very difficult weed to get rid of. All right, moving to Texas. Lawn has weeds. Is it okay to kill them now? Absolutely. You can kill weeds almost any time of the year. Yeah, I mean, honestly, a lot of those herbicides, they'll have once it gets above 85 degrees, there's some restrictions on things for temperature, but even then you can go spray in the morning or the evening. And if you're going to spray then, you just want to be more careful and spray lightly and just use common sense. How to kill Johnson grass in tall and fine fescue, West Tennessee, 80 miles east of Memphis. I'm trying to remember. It seemed like somebody asked about Johnson grass the other day, but I honestly wouldn't know in that cool season situation. If anybody knows the answer to that one, please chime in so we can try to provide an answer. All right, any experience with T-zone? Have some creeping Charlie and chickweed. Will that work on either weed? I know I don't have much experience with T-zone. I know on creeping Charlie I use change up and it wipes it out. I don't know what kind of grass you have. Change up you can use on both warm and cool season grasses, so you'd have to check the label. Chickweed, I mean, yeah, it knocked that out too. I mean, chickweed's not super tough. I mean, we use atrazine, to knock out chickweed early in the year, but that's not going to be a product you're going to use if you're going to have cool season grasses. All right, what's the best fertilizer for St. Augustine grass? I live in North Florida. Thank you for these great live videos. If you guys tell me if tell me if the sound is any better, if it's still echoing, because I mean, if it's echoing tonight, it's just echoing tonight, but I'm looking to possibly getting a better quality microphone. I guess this is a brand new computer. I guess I'm using the built-in microphone on the computer. So if it's not up to par, we'll invest in a better quality microphone. Best fertilizer thing I'll see. I use a 18-1-9 blend. I buy my stuff from Harold's, and it's I put it out twice. So I do it in May and again in July, something like that. And it lasts for about 2 months per application. But there's a lot of other, you don't have to use that. Some people like, Alan Haynes pretty much, who knows what he's done for the sales numbers of Milorganite. So if you want to go like a safe route, you can use a product like Milorganite, and it's hard to put too much of that out to burn the grass. I mean, you can put that out once a month or something and also get results. So yeah, those are a couple options. All right, lawn care little guy. Hey Jason, I love your channel. What you got for cheatgrass control? What's cheatgrass? I don't know if I've ever heard of cheatgrass. If anybody knows the answer to that, I didn't know there was some thing called cheatgrass. So I have nothing for that. I'm sorry. All right, how to kill fescue on my Bermuda lawn without harming my Bermuda. And that's one you can use. Like Katana is super great for killing ryegrass out of Bermuda, but it'll also work on fescue, but it's not as good on fescue, just to be honest with you. The fescue, I would go more with Tribute Total or Certainty, are two products that you can use that'll get it. I mean, if you want to use glyphosate when it's dormant in January, you can do that. Obviously, don't do that now unless you want to leave some big brown spots in the yard. All right, North Carolina. One of my customers has Bermuda grass lawn, but in the backyard there's an 8-foot wide piece of lawn that's super hard. Grass isn't growing well. Their suggestions. Well, Bermuda, I mean, it'll grow in the crack of the sidewalk. I mean, it'll grow just about nearly anywhere, but good dirt is better. I would want to know, looking at the yard, just kind of look around. Is it just the hard dirt that's the problem, or are there other issues going on? So, sometimes the backyard may be a little more shaded. Again, I'm not looking at this yard, but if you have shade issues, it may have a lot more to do with the shade than how hard the dirt is. In which case, here in Alabama, we put, encourage them to put zoysia in. But if you're in North Carolina, maybe you put some sort of cool season grass out there that would be able to would do much better in that situation. But I mean, if it's super hard, you could bring in some topsoil or aerate or in some way to get it going. But usually Bermuda grass, if it's going to grow in the area, like it'll grow. It doesn't need a lot of it just grows where it's going to grow, and if it's not growing there, it's usually not going to grow there. So. A lot of times I see customers and there'll be an area where it's not getting enough sunlight under a tree, along a fence, whatever. And the Bermuda's not growing there. So they go buy some Bermuda sod and put it right there. And guess what? It looks fine for a few months and then it starts dying out. And it's just like, it's not going to grow there. If it was, it would have already grown there. And so you might have to, I'm not saying it's not, I'm just saying you might want to look at what else is going on besides just the hard dirt. All right, Jason, I have a client that has sod winter kill. What can I do to bring it back? Well, I think you got to determine if it's winter kill or winter damage. Winter kill is dead, and if it's dead, it's just dead. I mean, there's not much you can do, other than, like, again, I don't know what kind of grass you have, but like for us, if you get winter damage in a Bermuda lawn, it's gonna eventually fill back in, from what survived will eventually fill back in. Anyway, we don't know, depending on what kind of grass you have, what you're going to do. So, but if it's like zoysia and you get a big dead spot in the yard, I mean, it could take years to fill back in. So you may actually have to resod. Yeah, people give me a lot of tips on talking close to the mic and echoing. We address, like, I may have to invest in a better microphone. I've got a new computer. But, I can't like stick my face in the computer and talk at the same time. So I'm at a normal distance from the computer and the camera. is we'll make the best use of it today. If it's echoing, then I'll look into getting an external microphone, because it says brand new computer and it must not have as good a system as the old one. All right, what's your go-to mix to blanket spray broadleaf and grassy weeds on a Bermuda lawn? Well, I think it would depend on the time of the year, because honestly, I don't do a lot of blanket spraying for grassy weeds. So like if I'm out there I blanket a yard in my program. I blanket a yard 3 times. I blanket them in January to early February is round 1. Then come back late February to the end of March is round 2. Now blanketing rhodamine, atrazine in round 1, and then triplet, which has 2,4-D and stuff to kill the broadleaf weeds. That's not going to do much for grassy weeds. So if in that situation, if I blanket the yard and I see that they've got fescue or ryegrass clumps or something like that, then I'm going to spray Tribute Total or Katana or Certainty or whatever I've got available at the time. Or if they got POA, you deal with POA with Revolver or whatever you want to use for that. But this time of year, if you're talking about like right now, and you got grassy weeds, you may be talking about crabgrass, talking about Dallisgrass, you're talking about fescue or ryegrass. So if you got like some fescue and ryegrass, they're going to kind of settle down in the south here. I believe, if I remember right, you're in Georgia. As it gets hot, they're going to be a lot less noticeable. The POA I wouldn't worry about at all, because it's going to be dying out soon. If you got crabgrass, you need to spray it with, I'm using just quinclorac, so I'm using a product called Q-Ball now, or you can use it Drive Accelerator, Spot Treat with Solitaire. They all have quinclorac in it. So it depends on what grassy weeds you're going after. If you got Dallisgrass, you just, you basically give up. So anyway, all right. Moving to Texas, St. Augustine grass has weeds. What should I use? Well, sometimes it helps if you're a little more specific on what weeds you're dealing with. But on St. Augustine, one of the combinations that we use for a lot of warm season grasses is a 1/4 ounce of metsulfuron per acre, super cheap, a product like MSM Turf. And then we put change-up in there. I use it at a very low rate, like 10 ounces per acre, or maybe 12 ounces per acre. That may be even below what the label recommends. But you mix those two together, and you can use it on Bermuda, Centipede, St. Augustine, Zoysia, and it will knock out a lot of weeds. Now, it's not going to fix every single weed in your yard, but it will get a lot of them. So that may be a combination to look into. And then I'll spot treat for something that didn't kill. You got Celsius and Certainty or Blindside or something like that. I can walk around and spot treat some tough weeds. So anyway, all right. What do you use for weed control around the shrubs? You got a few options in that situation. I'm using this year. I mixed glyphosate with SureGuard, and SureGuard, I believe it's 1/4 ounce per 1,000 square feet. So if I put it in a 4-gallon backpack sprayer, I'm putting 1 ounce in the 4-gallon backpack sprayer. Mix that with glyphosate. So the glyphosate is going to kill the existing weeds. The SureGuard is basically keep stuff from coming back for like 4 to 6 months, or maybe longer, depending on what rate you're spraying it at. So you basically, you can't get that on the shrubs now. You're basically spraying the bed and painting all around everything, and it works excellent on killing what's there and preventing stuff from coming back. Now, it's not going to keep your grass from like creeping in from the side, like our Bermuda grass likes to grow into the flower bed. So you're going to keep that edge with a string trimmer. But anyway, that's one thing. One I do that's what I'm using. There's other options. People, you can even use spectacle in the flower beds. Now, let me go back to that question here. As far as granular products, there's like Snapshot and Freehand, or a couple of granular products that you can actually go over the top of your shrubs with. But now again, what I was using those. I'm not saying they're bad products, because they're not. But if you use those, it's not going to kill any existing weeds. So you still have to go back and spray. And I felt like I was having to make 2 trips, where me using SureGuard and glyphosate. It's just 1 trip through there spraying, and I'm done. Let's talk CRN fertilizers. I'm in Little Rock, Arkansas. Used fertilizer from It's Harrell's, Harrells, around June 1st, and it feeds the rest of the season. How many pounds of N are you applying? Well, so on a Bermuda yard, it's not just how many pounds of nitrogen you're applying, but it's the composition of fertilizer. We'll talk about this more next week when we got James on there, because honestly, he understands it, can explain it better than I can. But I'm using a bag of fertilizer that is mostly slow release fertilizer. Now it has a little bit of quick release fertilizer in there, so it's a polymer coated fertilizer that breaks down slowly. What happens is if you go out there and you say, I'm going to dump whatever amount of nitrogen on there on the yard. Let's say you're going to put 2 pounds of nitrogen per 1,000 square feet. Well, if it's a quick release fertilizer, my understanding is the grass cannot use that much nitrogen. So it's going to make it green, but it's not going to last. Okay. And a lot of that nitrogen is going to get wasted because it's the whole idea of drinking out of a fire hydrant. The grass cannot use it all. Okay. So the idea behind the slow release fertilizer is that it basically begins breaking down with the hot weather, with the rain, and it's feeding the lawn at a rate that the grass can actually use it at. So to answer your question, I'm putting out like 2.2 pounds of nitrogen per 1,000 square feet. So I'm using a 3806 blend with, like I said, mostly slow release. I think it's like 87% slow release or something. And what's cool about Harold's, maybe we can talk about this next week. And again, I'm not, my friend James works for them, but he showed me the software they used before, and it has like this software they use where you can put in the spread date of what day you're going to put your fertilizer out, and it'll actually show you how much nitrogen the grass is getting each week based on weather patterns and a lot of stuff, data that goes into that. So it'll show like, all right, this week you're getting like maximum amount of nitrogen, but as it goes down through the weeks, you're not giving it as much nitrogen, but you're giving it enough where it can still hold a green color. Now it might not be the same dark green it was on the 4th of July in September, but it's still getting some nitrogen to kind of hold that color. So that's kind of the whole idea behind that. I hope that makes sense. All right. Hey, Jason, I have carpet grass growing in my St. Augustine. How can I kill harming the St. Augustine? Celsius is your go-to product for carpet grass, and it will definitely knock it out. I think this was a response to something else he asked already. I'm not sure what that means. Let me see what he said already. Love your channel. What you got for cheap grass control? And that, I'm sorry, you're I don't know what that is either. If that's another weed, or I'm not sure. All right. How about killing Johnson grass and Bermuda lawns? I think certainty was the answer we gave last time on the Johnson grass on a Bermuda lawn. Again, if Bermuda lawns are dormant, which Johnson grass may be dormant too, but you can spray glyphosate. But I think certainty would be an option during this time of year. All right. Tall fescue. What weeds am I inviting in my lawn if I overseed in the fall versus pre-emergent? Let me think here. If I've seen that, in a situation like we overseed some lawns here in the South, don't do a whole lot of them, but basically there's some strategies behind it. So sometimes if somebody wants their yard overseeded in the fall, then we just overseed it with ryegrass, and we don't put a pre-emergent out at all. Now, what does that mean? You might end up with some POA and stuff like that. Well, it's kind of hidden because you got all that green grass. And then if you decide you're ready to get rid of it in the following spring and let your warm season grass come out, then you spray it with Katana, and it wipes out all the ryegrass, and probably helps knock out your POA too. In tall fescue, I mean, you can't use the Katana for sure. But I mean, same concept. You don't use the pre-emergent, you're probably going to get some POA and things like that. I don't know what weeds you deal with. All the cool season weeds we get the henbit and the purple dead nettle and the hairy bittercress and POA, and same old stuff I'm always seeing. So, I mean, not using a fall pre-emergent is going to make you more susceptible to those weeds. Again, you may have a few different weeds where you're at. So, thumbs up on that one. I think we answered the question for him. So, hopefully that was helpful. All right. All right. Little Carolina guy. Here's an answer. Outrider herbicide is labeled for downy brome. I guess that's a weed I've never heard of too. Sorry, guys. You guys, if it's one that's not in my area, I just sometimes haven't heard of it. Expensive, works great on nutsedge and brome. There you go. Thank you, Caleb, for chiming in there. All right. What's the best mower upgrade for a new lawn care business? I have a Honda 21 inch looking upgrade to possibly a 30 inch. I mean, you know, they like the Exmark makes a 30-inch commercial mower. My question to you would be like, how much is that going to help you going from a 21 to a 30? Like, unless you're just like mowing all little small garden homes, then I can kind of see that. But if you're, you know, mowing bigger properties, then I would say, why not try to get a zero turn mower or something that they can really up your efficiency? Unless your whole business strategy is like, we're just doing tiny yards and I'm just pushing all of them, then that makes sense. But even if it was a 36-inch stand-on mower or something like that, I mean, the difference in the time that would save you and just your energy level and all that too would be great unless you just like pushing. But I mean, I would almost push you to like keep the 21 inch and get you like a 36 or a 42 inch or a 48 inch or what, you know, depending on your properties you're dealing with, and go with that versus spending 2,000 on a push, an upgraded push mower. You know, that's kind of my thoughts. But I mean, yeah, if you're insisting on the 30 inch, like I said, Exmark I know makes the commercial 30, but you know, they're expensive. All right. Caleb bailed us out on the questions there, the weeds that I had no idea what they were. So I really appreciate that, Caleb. And lawn care little guy, appreciate you too. All right. When you blanket spray in January and February, how do you protect your spray rig pump? I'm going to assume you're talking about from just the cold weather. So a couple of options there. Like this year, I've finally got a decent workshop built. So that's great. Because, you know, I'm in Alabama, like, yeah, it gets below freezing, but usually we don't get like crazy, like single digits cold. So usually me just parking it inside is enough to keep it above freezing. And honestly, that's all I'm needing to do is keep it above freezing. But let's say you don't have that situation. Then at that point, you've got to winterize your rig, okay, to keep the pumps from freezing. So there's the guys that I work with, Graham Spray Equipment, they have actually a good video on how to winterize your spray rig. So you can search for that on YouTube, winterize your spray rig, and I bet the Graham video will come up. But they show you how to do it. But basically, you're trying to get all the water out of the pump. Not all of it. You're not going to get all of it, but get most of it out to where when it does freeze, it's not freezing and cracking and busting parts. But that's a good question. Something that's very important because you end up with some expensive repairs. And then, you know, the other thing is, like we talked about, if it's like super cold, like some days it's just not even going to get above freezing. I usually don't work those days. I'll just be honest. I try to make the most out of the warm days in January. But if you're just desperate and you want to work, you can use like a ride-on spreader and use a granular pre-emergent and spread your granular pre-emergent out there. You know, because you don't have to worry about it freezing. You know, because if it never gets above freezing, and you know, it's just what are you gonna do? I mean, even if you've kept it inside and you go outside and your hose freezes up, I mean, you know, it's just a bad situation. I just don't want to be out there anyway. So my advice on January, like I get more focused in January, I feel like, than any other month. Like I want, if it's Saturday and it's 50 degrees, I'm like, I need to work. It's Saturday, I'm working, I don't care. And because you just never know when you go through a cold snap and you just, you know, you can't work, or you're like, I'd rather work on a Saturday when it's 55 than a Tuesday when it's 28. What kind of growth regulator can I use on Bermuda so I don't have to mow as much? I use one that's called Podium, which is a generic version of, well, I can't remember what it's a generic version of, but anyway, it's a generic of something. And it works great. I'm planning to use it on my yard. No, I'm using it like once a month. And I don't do it till the grass really starts growing. So like even in, it's May now. I mean, we're getting down in the 40s this week in Alabama. It's going to be a little bit cool, a little bit unusually cool, honestly. But like I can still mow my grass and keep it at 1.5 inches, no problem. And now June, July, August. I mean, those are your 3 like prime months. Even in September, if you just spray it once a month, it's going to greatly reduce the amount of mowing. Now, sometimes it seems like maybe that first application, it does okay, but the second application, it's going to improve and kind of hold it back from growing. So anyway, I use that stuff a lot, and I think it's great. You know any products that will prevent grass growing in a gravel driveway, like granular type product or liquid that has good residual? Yeah, we talked about that earlier, Jeremy. I'm using SureGuard, so I mix now SureGuard. Some people like you get a little sticker shock when you see it, but like it's like $200 or something. I don't know, but you use 1/4 of an ounce per 1,000 square feet. So in a 4-gallon backpack sprayer, I'm putting 1 ounce. And so I'm saying, per 1,000 square feet, it's actually really cheap. But, I understand the initial sticker shock of it. And I don't know if you can get it in smaller quantities or whatever. But anyway, you mix that with your Roundup or your glyphosate products. And so that's the glyphosate is going to kill the weeds, and the SureGuard keeps them from coming back. Like I said before, it's not going to keep grass from growing in from the side of your yard. Like if you got Bermuda grass or something, it's just going to start creeping in from the sides. It's not going to stop that, but any kind of weeds, it works for like, they say 4 or 6 months, maybe longer, depending on the rate you're using. Thanks for answering my question about the hard ground in North Carolina. I think I'm going to try aeration first. No shade, no other issues. The grass is to the right is very healthy and greening up. You know what? Now this person was asking a question earlier about the front yard. I think is Bermuda and doing fine. The backyard, there's an area where the ground is really hard and the grass is not doing well. And I was just saying, maybe some other things going on, shade or whatever. Sometimes too, there's just something going on in the yard, and you can't always figure it out, where there's a spot. I'm thinking of one particular customer I have, and he's got a spot in his backyard, and he's got a beautiful zoysia lawn, and this one spot, it won't grow. Actually, I got 2 customers now I'm thinking of, both with zoysia, both have a spot where the grass doesn't grow. Even when they resod it, it won't grow. And sometimes it's like something going on in the soil, where maybe it was even a tree that was there decades ago that's still decomposing underground, and it's kind of messed up the soil in a way that the grass doesn't like. I've seen in a situation too, we had a drought, and this lady had a pretty nice Bermuda yard. You could almost draw a line of where it basically, the grass all turned brown, and a lot of it actually died. And that for Bermuda to die from a drought, it has to be pretty serious drought. Well, there's a lot of grass that was dead, and a lot of it still, but I'm saying it was like a straight line. You're like, what in the world? Well, it turns out there was very little topsoil there. Before you hit concrete, it was like a drainage area or something, and it was, 3 inches of dirt and then concrete, where the rest of the yard was normal, and it shallow roots and bad drought, dead grass. That was the combination. So, there could just be something going on, and you may not be able to figure it out. Okay, but if you put some more grass back there, some Bermuda grass right now should grow. Okay, if you even bought a little bit of sod, you put it there, and if it doesn't grow, something's going on. Because if it's not shade, that's the number one reason why I see Bermuda don't grow. People put it where it's just too shady. You say it's not shade and it's doing better around there, there may be something going on in that area. But even over the course of the summer, if you did nothing, it should fill in from the sides again, unless there's something specifically going on in that area. ET with the picture there, I like that. Hey Jason, I selected turf type tall fescue about a week ago, knowing springtime seeding of cold season grass would face a lot of challenges. I had to do it as my lawn was so thin. All right. And then I have not seen any germination yet, but I'll be patient and keep watering 2 or 3 times a day. My question is, what and when should I apply to help the new grass have strong roots to beat the summer stress? Uh, some of you cool season guys, if you can chime in on this, that's be helpful. But you know, and again, I just don't know because we don't deal with a lot of cool season grass. But my understanding is most of the overseeding is done in the fall, and is for whatever reason you weren't able to do it in the fall, so you do it in the spring. And I don't know where you live, but and how hot it is right now. But I would think, again, I'm just thinking like it should start growing until it gets hot. Now whether it's going to get established enough to survive the summer beatdown of the heat, I don't know, because I know even established cool season lawns struggle with the summer heat. So, but anyway, I mean, if it's not, let me see, you said a week ago. Okay, well, it's too early to give up right now. I'll say that. It's only been a week, so I would keep and maybe is I don't know if watering 2 or 3 times a day might be too much, but just watering it daily until it starts germinating. But as far as your answer, I don't know. Honestly, I just don't have enough experience with the cool season grass. I apologize. But if somebody knows the answer and some advice from an expert, please chime in as far as putting some fertilizer on it to help it strengthen up a little bit before the summer heat comes, which you probably don't have that long before summer heat's coming. Let's see. I handpick my weeds, but I only have 1,300 square feet of zoysia. I enjoy it. Well, that's good, and everybody's got their hobbies. I don't care if people handpick their weeds. It's not realistic for a lot of people. I get people that say that, and they say, "I want to handpick my weeds." Why don't you just pull them all? You know what? I tell you what. You start pulling the weeds in my yard, and I've got about 3 acres, and I've got 4 acres, maybe 3 acres of grass. When you get done, when you get halfway done, go ahead and take a lunch break. And let's see how that goes for you. But yeah, if you got 1,300 square feet of zoysia a lot of times is very good at choking out weeds on its own. You could just fertilize and probably handpick and still have a decent yard. So that sounds like that working for you. All right. EIB Archives. Sorry. Archive says, what's your normal reaction to dog poop filled lawns? Do you ever turn down yards with lots of poop, or you just deal with it? Poop lawns always have a permanent smell, but owners just don't care. Yeah, I've heard this. Now, from a weed control standpoint, if the dogs are always back there, that's going to be an issue anyway. Spraying back there with the dogs. So a lot of times when people have like a situation like that, they don't want me messing with the backyard. From a mowing standpoint, yeah, I mean, I think you would probably be wise to turn the job down, or you have a conversation with a customer and say, listen, we're going to mow on Thursdays, so you need to have the yard cleaned up on Wednesday. It doesn't mean there's one pile of poop or whatever, that's livable. But if it's covered in the yard all the time, I personally don't want to deal with that. So at the end of the day, I think you just have a polite conversation with the customer. They may or may not want to do anything, and it's no hard feelings if they don't. That's certainly their prerogative on that situation, but you don't have to subject yourself to that. How do you handle gray leaf spot in Bermuda right now in Jackson, Mississippi? I'm not sure. I'm sorry. I'm not. Gray leaf spot, is that the one? Again, I'm not a fungus expert here, but is that the tiny little spores that on the plant? I feel like I've seen that before and didn't know if is it cosmetic? Somebody else chime in here, but is that one, is gray leaf spot, is it mostly cosmetic, or is it actually doing serious damage? I mean, obviously damaging the leaf, but and in Jackson, Mississippi, I would wonder if it's a customer, and maybe it's your own yard, but if you're running irrigation, you might want to back off of that. And if the customer's doing it, you can talk to them about that and see when they're running the irrigation. Yeah, it may not fix it, but if they're running irrigation like 8 o'clock at night and then it stays wet all during the night, that can be a cause for fungus. But I'm not sure. Some of the fungicides I've used, and I'm sorry, I'm not as familiar with them to know if they're labeled for this particular product. I use Fame G, I've used Heritage, I've used some other ones. You can see what they say as far as for that specific type of fungus. All right, what's your three-way herbicide choice for cool season grass? I use triplet. I'm dealing with warm season grasses, but I think triplet's labeled for cool season grasses. I'm not 100% sure on that, but that's the one I use. It's a new farm product. I want to start a small lawn mowing business, but I need to convince my parents I really want to buy a truck, so I have to work for it, and a lawn mowing business pays good. All right, well that's great, and I think I can't give your parents advice on how to raise you, but I think the lawn care business is a great business for teenagers to be in. Now, I don't know how old you are, if you can, old enough to drive, old enough to buy a truck. So I want to get too involved in the situation, but you can definitely make more money mowing grass than you can working traditional teenager jobs at a fast food restaurant, grocery store, things like that. I think you also gain a lot of valuable life skills and business skills and learn how to manage money that can help you along the way. So, I think you just respectfully talk to your parents about them, let them know it's what you want to do. At the end of the day, you got to honor your parents, or at least I would recommend you do so, and whatever they advise you until you get older to be able to make those decisions on your own. Dwayne Logan says, I got a relatively small patch of Dallisgrass trying to invade my Bermuda. Will Bermuda choke it out or not? What measures should I take to get it going? Dallisgrass is pretty thin for now. He's in Phoenix City, Alabama. He says, now I'm wondering if it is actually Dallisgrass that's pretty thin, because Dallisgrass grows in big clumps. I mean, Google Dallisgrass, but it's big, dark green clumps. I mean, people usually don't describe it as thin. If you may have some crabgrass that's starting to grow up it's a lot lighter color green, and it could be considered thin right now. It's going to get bigger. So I think just understand what weed you're dealing with. If it's crabgrass, you want to use a product like Solitaire or something like that to spot treat it, or some with chloride in it. If it's Dallisgrass, like I said, this time of year, there's not a lot you can do, to be honest with you. I mean, if it's got just a little bit in Bermuda, if you just want to spray it with weed killer and kill it and let the Bermuda fill back in, it'll do so. That's not the most professional strategy, but it does work. And the Bermuda spreads fast, especially coming soon in the summertime. But the Dallisgrass strategy, we talked about this earlier. You can blanket your yard spray it with glyphosate in the wintertime. You can use Tribute Total or Manuscript or Celsius, certainly in the fall, and again, like October, again November, and then hammer it again in the springtime. So those are kind of strategies with Dallisgrass. Chris, the other strategy with Dallisgrass is MSMA on Bermuda, but it's not legal on a residential property. Can you overseed a weak centipede yard with ryegrass, or would it look terrible? I know people overseed Bermuda and it looks okay. Chris, I wonder where you are. I wonder, I wouldn't do that. I mean, again, maybe you're in some kind of transition zone, and maybe that's something that people do in a transition zone. Here in my area, I got a yard in mind, and it's kind of a sad looking centipede yard, but somebody's put ryegrass out there at some time, and now it's like, what is this? Is this a ryegrass yard or a centipede yard? I'm trying to kill off the ryegrass and trying to get the centipede to spread. So, I mean, ideally, I think you want to pick which way you want to go and try to make your yard one or the other, and not give it competition from the other grasses. Andrew says you skipped my question. I didn't skip it intentional, I don't think, Andrew. Let's see. Oh, here we go. I'm sorry, man. I did skip you. I'm pulled it back up, though. What's the best weed and grass killer for a residential homeowner for weeds around the house? I mean, honestly, Andrew, it's going to depend on. I do apologize for skipping you. That was not intentional. I think depends on what kind of weeds you're dealing with, what kind of grass you got, and things like that. Because there's no one product that you just say, if I just got this product, I can spray it on any weed and I'll just kill everything. I mean, maybe in a Bermuda yard you get Tribute Total, but that would not be considered a residential weed killer. I mean, you can buy it, but it'll control about nearly any yard in a Bermuda or zoysia lawn. But you know, it's not that's an expensive product, just to be honest with you. So as far as like going to the big box store and buying something and spraying, I mean, you know, there's more to it than that, I guess is what I'm getting at. Because if you don't put out a pre-emergent before the weeds germinate, then you're going to have tons of weeds. And if you just spray some 2,4-D product that you can probably buy at the big box store, it's not going to kill all those weeds. Okay, so that's why like we do multiple applications with multiple products. You know, if I was a homeowner and I was just going to go buy one product, again, you got to know what kind of grass you have. But I'm hesitant to even give an answer. But if I was limited to one thing, I could just go out and spot spray with. I guess I'd get something like Celsius. That's me dealing with warm season grasses or maybe blindside, and I could kill a lot of weeds. But now it's not going to do anything really for my crabgrass problem or you know, a lot of the problems you're going to have if that's all you do. So I hope that helps. Antonio has posted the letter O. I like that. Thanks for joining in late. Jeremy asked a question earlier about the weed killer in the gravel driveway. Let's see, Jeremy, what branch of the military? And I see your uniform there. Oh, he posted a question. Yeah, I apologize, Andrew, for skipping the questions. All right, how do I figure the rate of application for RGS on my actual shrubs? Well, you're gonna have to, you know, read the label. Now, when I'm figuring out rates like for lawn, like I don't know about on the shrubs. For the lawn, there's a simple equation that we're using, and so you gotta calibrate yourself, whether you're using a handheld sprayer, backpack sprayer, tank sprayer, to know how many gallons you're putting out per 1,000 square feet. If you know, if that's, and once you know that number, then you can do the simple math. So then you take the number of gallons of water in the tank. Let's say I put 50 gallons of water in there. I'm going to divide that by the number of gallons per 1,000 square feet. So like in my tank, I'm spraying 2 gallons per 1,000 square feet. So I'll take 50, the number of gallons, divided by 2, the number of gallons per 1,000 square feet, and then divide that by 43.56, because that's, you know, 43,560 square feet in an acre. When I do that, it's going to tell me how many acres I could spray. Because when you read the label, it's oftentimes going to tell you the rate per acre, you know, so it's say 2 pints per acre or whatever. So then I put 2, multiply that, whatever that answer was, times 2, because that's 2 pints per acre, and that's how many plants I put in the tank. So, you know, hopefully that helps. If you read a label, it's going to give you a rate, but you got to calibrate yourself to know how to mix it in that situation. All right. Andrew, he's saying glyphosate. Yeah, if you're just trying to, Andrew asked with the best weed killer for a residential home weed and grass killer. Yeah, if you just want to kill stuff like dead and don't care about the grass or anything, you know, just spray glyphosate, just to kill it dead. But I wasn't sure if you're talking about that or like killing weeds in the yard without killing the grass. So, all right. When you want to raise the price for mowing a yard, but the client refuses to pay more, so how do you drop that client and what do you say? Man, that's a good question. Well, I think, you know, one, you want to position, this is a big business principle for me, is that you try to maintain control of your business, because some customers, it's probably just their personality, but they want to be in control of everything, including your business and how you run things. So, yeah, I think if you've determined that this customer is not profitable as they need to be, and you want to raise prices, you do that in a polite way. You can do it any time of the year you want to. I mean, typically the beginning of the year is the most normal time, but just do it anytime. If, you know, I've heard somebody say, you know, if they're not profitable right now, you know, why wait until the end of the year to raise the price? Like, raise them right now. So I think you have every right to raise prices. But if they don't want to, I mean, I think you just go back to them and you say, hey, listen, you know, this is for me, for my business to be as profitable as I need to be, this will be the rate. And if there's no hard feelings, but if you're not willing to pay that, then I'm going to move on and let you find somebody else. And I think if they get mad, they get mad, but I think you do that in a very respectful way. You don't hold a grudge against them. Don't be upset with them because they're just doing what's best for them. You're doing what's best for you. And you want to make sure your business is healthy enough that you're gaining new customers and you're providing outstanding service so that your services are in demand. So that way, if you lose them, it's not that big deal to you. But you definitely don't want to be working in an underpriced yard because that's holding your business back. Okay. So good question. William is new to the lawn care business. He's doing research and study. All right, William, hope it goes well for you. There's a lot of opportunity in lawn business. A lot of competition out there, but like I said, it's not all competition, it's true competition. Some people are just kind of playing around. So there's definitely room for you. I know how to figure my herbicide and biostem apps for how do I figure the rate of application for RGS on my actual shrubs. I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't guess I know the actual question. I'm not sure the answer to that one, Michael. I'm sorry. All right. Same question as Arnold. He was asking, raising your price. So Troy answered that. Oh, he's talking, gas prices are going up. They definitely are going up. I noticed that today. The town I stop in to get gas a lot of times, it was like I think it was like 250 something yesterday. Today it was like 270 something, about 20 cents increase since yesterday. Now, I don't know how much they're going to keep going up. I imagine they probably will. But if you need to raise your price for gas, that's understandable. The interesting thing is when gas last year was like $1 and something, I don't think anybody came down on their prices, or very few people. So anyway, let's see. Same thing here, Michael. How do I apply the biostem to my turf? But how do I figure the rate of application for my actual shrubs? I think you're just going to have to read the label and see what it says is the rate. For whatever product you're using, you're going to have to just read the label, and it should. If the label doesn't give you a rate, then I'm not sure. All right, what do you think about the gas leakage? I'm not sure what gas leakage. Where's gas leaking? I don't see any gas leaking, but if there's gas leakage, that's not good. Palisades or Empire Zoysia, thoughts? I've got a customer that's got, a former customer actually. He has a Palisades Zoysia. I thought it was very beautiful. It didn't you can mow it lower and tight. I mean, I think you can actually mow it down like a ½ inch. I think I've heard it spreads faster than other types of Zoysia, but in my opinion, it didn't have as dark a color green. So if you want like that super dark green, it may not be the one for you. Empire Zoysia, I don't have much experience with that. We deal a lot with like Z52 or Meyer Zoysia and Emerald Zoysia. I've got Zorro Zoysia at my home. The Zorro and the Zorro and the Emerald are real fine blade. The Z52 is a little bit wider blade. The Palisades is a wider blade Zoysia, but I like it. I'm not as familiar with the Empire. All right, Jason, what brand mower would you recommend for a person just starting out? When I give people advice on buying a lawnmower, and I've done this before, I like Hustler, I like Skag, I like Exmark, I like Toro, I like Grave. I mean, I've had a lot of lawnmowers and I've had different brands, but to me, if you're just starting out, the advice I give, if you're a little bit open-minded on brand, and you may say the dealer for this particular brand is right down the road, so that's the brand I'm going with. That's fine, because dealer support matters to some degree. But to me, it's more the quality of the mower, because all those varieties of mowers, they're all going to have different levels, like the super duper commercial, the standard commercial, the low end commercial, the high end residential, the low end residential, So, I mean, I try to push people to get at least the low end commercial mower if you can, unless you're just mowing your own lawn, because it's just such a better mower, better performance, more efficient, more powerful, and all that. And I would rather get a slightly used one of those than a brand new, low end residential model. It's just, it's just me. Now, some people want the warranties and all that. But anyway, so those are some of the brands and kind of my tips on choosing a mower. How did you get your first part-time employee? I'm part-time with teaching and my full-time job. I feel like I'm on the verge of needing a helper. Well, I'll tell you this, but hiring has been horrible for almost everybody lately. And you see the people begging for employees, and that's true in the lawn care business too. People's like, you know anybody that wants to work? And there's, some numbers, reasons that's happening that I won't go into right now. But you can post it on Facebook. You can use these like Indeed and kind of these Indeed.com, those kind of sites. But it's hard. Like, I'll give you this advice. Like I went a couple different routes. Like I've tried to find somebody that was experienced, because I want them to know, like, hey, this is what we're doing. We're working on yards. It's hot. You sweat. I mean, and so sometimes you bring somebody in there like, oh, I want to do that, but they're not used to working outside and they can't handle it. So, but you get somebody that's used to it and they know the whole game, and it's fine. Sometimes that experienced person may not have the greatest character, may not always show up on time, but may have some issues, but they know what they're doing, and you may have to pay them a little bit more because they're experienced. Sometimes you get the green person with not much experience. They may show up great, be excited, but they're not very good. And you got to work with them to help them become better. So there's kind of a trade-off there. I mean, and which way you go is kind of personal opinion. I've done it both ways. Had mixed results both ways. Had some guys that were great when they showed up, and when they didn't show up. But I had some other guys that showed up great, but weren't that great workers. So and I had one situation where I kind of found the perfect combination. He had great character, showed up, worked hard, and was very experienced and was awesome. But as far as finding them, man, nowadays, I tell you, everybody's begging for somebody to work. But using social media and things like that's probably as good as anything. All right. A bear empire seems to hold color. Oh, I think he's responding to A Bear here. He's talking about Empire Zoysia seems to hold color better from his experience. Yeah, like I said on the Palisade Zoysia, it was not a dark green in my opinion. That didn't mean it didn't look good. I mean, you're just not gonna get that like deep dark green if you're going for that. Jason Earl says, any ideas other than the image for POA and Bermuda grass lawn? Yeah, I don't, depending on where you live, like the POA, we still got POA here in my house, but it's yellowing out and everything. I mean, I'm not worried about it at this point. So I might just give up on it by this point. But preventing them with your pre-emergent to fall is great. Spectacle works great for that, though it can be a little pricey. But any pre-emergent is better than nothing. And then as far as spraying it for the post-emergent, I mean, you can use Celsius, Certainty, Tribute Total, Katana, Negate, Revolver. I mean, all those will work on POA in a Bermuda lawn. Or you can spray it with glyphosate when the Bermuda's dormant if you catch it early. Now, it's slow to die when the weather's cold. And when the weather gets hot, you spray it, and it's almost like, what's the point? Once the grass starts turning green, I don't usually fool with it that much. All right. My lawn has cool season grass. I reseed every fall. Do you recommend turf type tall fescue over KBG, and why? I am not the cool season expert, but I would like to have one on here. So, guys that deal with cool season grass, if you got an opinion here for him on turf type tall fescue or Kentucky blue, which one do you prefer and why? Good question. I'm interested to hear the answer to that. All right, let's see. Slow release fertilizer, mow high, and keep it watered. I think that's the tip there on getting your grass ready for the Max Bird was asking about. She's trying to, or he or she's trying to plant some ET. I think ET person. They're trying to plant some grass, overseed some grass, cool season grass in their yard. It hadn't germinated yet. They're trying to get it growing, wanting to see if they can get it beefed up enough to handle the heat stress that's coming this summer. So this was the response. He says, yeah, use slow release fertilizer, mow it high, and keep it watered. And I think the tip there too, I believe, would be keep it watered during the summer, during those hot, stressful months. I think if you just let the heat pound on it and don't water it, you're going to have a hard time. All right. And let's see. This guy says tall fescue helps to fix itself. All right. I'm not sure if that was a response maybe to this. My lawn has cool season grass. Do you recommend turf type tall fescue? Maybe so. All right. Montana Farmer says, hello, Jason. Hello from Montana. That'd be a great place to visit, I bet. All right. The only herbicide I have is tenacity. Will that work to kill most weeds I have? I'm creeping Charlie and chickweed. I'm in Pennsylvania. I know tenacity is a very popular product that people use on cool season grasses. We don't use it much here in the South. But you read the label and see what all weeds that it's used for. Like I said, it's popular. And Brian's bailing me out on these questions. Thank you, Brian. You are a commenter of the night here. Tenacity is not that great. Watch the grass factor on it. Grass factor is my friend Matt Martin. He has some information on tenacity, I guess. All right. I noticed in a previous video you had a deer feeder at your place. Any plans for a small food plot out there on the back 40? Man, I planted a garden this year, okay? And today I was looking at a garden and there was deer tracks in there. We don't see that many deer on my property, but I know I got some deer and I'm trying to keep them out. So I don't think I'm going to feed the deer because I really don't want them coming around. I want to grow my garden and stuff like that. So no, I'll probably let my dad use that deer feeder. He likes to hunt. All right, thanks for your advice. I'm in Long Island and it's been a bit chilly. So, okay, maybe that's the problem when this person hadn't seeded their grass or the seed their grass but hadn't germinated. Maybe just be the cold weather if you're up in New York. Maybe, give it a little bit more time. And I'm trying to pass out flyers saying I'm a teenager, but nobody's called me yet. What advice can you give me? How many times I have to pass out flyers to convince people to call me? My advice would be, I probably wouldn't tell them I'm a teenager. I would probably just position myself as a professional lawn care provider. And why is that? Well, I mean, what's the point of saying you're a teenager? To me, doing that, people are going to assume that, oh, he's a teenager, so I bet I could get him really cheap. I would say, don't worry about that. Be as professional as you can and try to get the same price that the other guys are getting. Why say I'm a teenager, so hey, I'll mow it for $20 when you might get 50 if you position yourself. But the flyers, I mean, there's not a great return on those unless you just find the perfect neighborhood that just somehow had a lot of demand. So I mean, I would, if you can do social media, or maybe get some family members to help you out. That would probably be better. But the flyers do work. It's just not a great rate of return. Best way to get clients when first starting off. We talked social media. I think going out on a Saturday and knocking on doors, if you're comfortable doing that, or if it's legal, is one idea. Jose says, this guy said he's in the same boat. He's trying to pass out flyers and get customers. Knock on doors. You can see the yard. Yeah, knocking on doors definitely works. Not that comfortable, maybe not that legal in some areas, but it definitely works. Thanks, man. Hey, brother. All right. Brian says, bring pictures of other yards you already do and press them. Also bring edgers. You'll be the only one. It'll look amazing. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I found it on Saturday. If I get out there on a Saturday, and let's say I've just got 3 yards to do, but I'm in a hot neighborhood and it's springtime and everybody's out in their yard working. If I'm out there in my service truck working, the neighbors see me and they've been thinking and talking about getting somebody to do their lawn. They're like, hey, can you do my yard? Or if you want to knock on doors, then you're ready. If they say yes, I say, hey, can I give you a quote for your lawn? Sure, that'd be fine. And they give them the price. Say, I can spray it. They say, oh yeah, when can you start? Right now. I can spray your yard right now. I can mow your yard right now. So you're ready. And people are home because during the week they're not home. Now again, check with your local authorities to see what's legal in your area. Should I only go to houses that need work done, or should I go to houses even if they're in good shape? I think mostly the ones that need work done. It's hard to get people that already have a lawn care provider, but long term, you need to start building relationships with people in the community that can send you referrals, and you need to get some customers that can send you referrals. And it gets easier, once you get that established customer base, and then having a website will help you also be able to get, that takes a while to rank well on Google and things like that, but it can help. Brian says, if you think you can help knock there too, maybe they do it themselves and are tired of it. Yeah, I mean, it's a numbers game to some sense, but I find that people there's not a lot of people that are like thinking in the future for lawn care. There are some who call you in January and say, I'm trying to get somebody lined up for April to cut my grass. But most people is more likely they're spur of the moment. Hey, I need somebody to cut it today, kind of thing. And whoever's there is going to get the job. How many yards do you mow? I mow 1 yard, and that is my own yard. I'm full-time weed control and fertilization now, but I used to mow a lot of yards. Makes sense. Thank you. All right. It's like 420 in California. Everything's expensive in California. Yeah, we're like I still saw gas for 240 something today, but I missed that exit thinking it was going to be 240 something at the next exit. And time I got gas at my exit, it was like 265 or something. So I cost myself 20 cents a gallon probably. I'm here in Anston, Alabama. I'm planting tall fescue this weekend. I put on sprinkler system, covered it with peat moss. Is there anything else I can do to ensure it takes root before it gets too hot? I would say water. Probably just keeping it watered. And I guess Anniston, I mean, that's not far from where I am, to be honest with you. But I guess it'll take there. I mean, like I said, where I'm at, I mean, fescue, it's just, unless you got sure enough shady area, if that's in the full sun, I don't think you're going to struggle. But if it's shaded, you may have a chance of making it work. All right. This guy, he's responding, I think, to the guy asking about how much should I spray per shrub. He's saying 6 ounces per 1,000 and squirt each hedge, then water in. That's what I do. Okay. Cheers from Alabama. I live in Alabama, so that's great. All right. Can you treat tall fescue the same as Bermuda? No, you cannot. Every product's going to have a label, and there's certain products on tall fescue certain products used on Bermuda that are going to wipe out the tall fescue. Like, for instance, I'm out there spraying Certainty on trying to kill nut sedge in a Bermuda yard. Well, that would just work over a fescue yard. So no, you can't. But there are some products you can use. Completely different grass. I agree. How tall should you cut a lawn bi-weekly, and what's the minimum height? It depends on what grass you got there. Which zoysia would you recommend to blend well in my shaded area below oak tree with the Arden 15 Princess 77 Bermuda? I mow real low, like a putting green height, the California real mower. You're mowing that height, it's going to be hard with zoysia. I mean, I know that Palisades, they say you can real mow it and all that. But as far as blending with Bermuda, I mean, I usually tell people to get the emerald zoysia, the Zorro, because it has that fine leaf blade like Bermuda, but it doesn't, it sort of blends in, but it's not gonna like being cut with a real mower. So like I have some zoysia, I keep my Bermuda 1.5 inches, but when I get to my zoysia underneath my trees, I raise my deck up. So I'm not mowing it the same. All right. Thanks for the advice. And dicamba rocks kills every broadleaf I got. Just got a Toro Time Master 30-inch. All right, that's cool. Xeon zoysia looks the most like Bermuda and does well in the shade. And you know what? I'm beginning to wonder if I've got Xeon or Zorro. I get those confused. Let me see if I can find that real quick. Hold on. Xeon zoysia number 1 and 2, 3. Okay. I think I've got Xeon instead of Zorro. I've been saying I've got Zorro. I'm almost positive I've got Xeon now. Anyway, I got Xeon, and it's great, and it does well in the shade. Absolutely. I've probably called mine Zorro multiple times. Dicamba beats tenacity all day. Sorry, I didn't mean to ask the same question multiple times, but RGS only gives the rate per 1,000, not for shrubs. Microgreen says 48 ounces per 1,000 for trees and shrubs. I don't understand. You know, if you're trying to, and maybe I'm misunderstanding. Are you trying? Is it some sort of growth regulator thing you're trying to do, Michael, to keep them from growing? Like I forget the name of some of those. If that's true, I mean, you know, I don't want to don't go off label, but I don't think you're going to like kill the shrub if you accidentally over apply a little bit. So you might just anyway. I don't want to use this language too much, but if you experiment with it a little bit and go easy, and if it doesn't give you the results, you can do a little bit more. Does Alabama have good barbecue? Well, I think we're pretty much known for our barbecue. I mean, we're not the only place, obviously, but yeah, we lots of barbecue restaurants in Alabama. Probably the most famous that I know of is called Dreamland Barbecue. It was originally started in Tuscaloosa. All right, Mopar says he would go with Kentucky Bluegrass over turf type tall fescue, I believe. Scott's makes the best products. All righty. Thanks for your knowledge. Just got a house and needed lawn care guidance. No problem. Hi, guys. All Northern Turf baseball fields have KBG. There you go. Set your cut around 2.5 inches. All right. Let's see. Use dicamba for ground ivy. Yeah, and I was saying I use a change up for ground ivy. I think change up has dicamba in it. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe it does. Appreciate your videos on Dallisgrass. Any new pointers? Have you learned anything new? I have it all over my yard. Man, in a Bermuda yard, like I said, the MSMA is not legal, but it'll knock it out in a Bermuda yard in the summer. But if you're not going to do it in the summer, I mean, again, it's Bermuda grass. I don't remember what kind of grass you got. You can just spot treat it with weed killer and let the grass fill back in, or you go the strategy in the fall where you're pounding it with Celsius and Certainty or Tributol or Manuscript. What are you spray it in October, spray it in November, hammer it with glyphosate 32 ounces per acre in the winter, and then come back and hammer it again in first sign of life in the spring with Celsius and Certainty or Manuscript or Tributol. That's the best thing. And even doing that, you may not get rid of it all. Greetings from Seattle, Washington. All right, Jorge, good to hear from you. Quack grass sucks, is what he says. All right, that's great. Tall fescue is better if it gets very hot or irrigation is not practical. It's more drought tolerant than KBG. Appreciate you guys chiming in here. So we got voting for Kentucky Blue, but this guy's saying that tall fescue is a little bit more drought resistant. Good evening. Just laid some new sun. It seems like it's dry. How can I fix it? You got to water it like crazy. You just got to keep it watered, and you got to have to water it to get it through this first summer. So when it gets hot, it's tough. Jason, been using my skid steer more years spraying yards, but I'm developing a tennis elbow, getting sore from the motion. Is there a trick to prevent getting sore? Just muscle buildup. I've had tennis elbow actually. So like grabbing the 2-gallon sprayers and picking them up, I think began to wear on my tennis. And I think, you know, like you're saying, squeezing the handle on the spray guns can give you some tennis elbow. So I get that. I think some of it has to do, I'm no medical doctor, obviously, but just dealing with inflammation. I got some kind of inflammation cream and rubbed on there, but honestly, just trying to change my diet a little bit. You can look up anti-inflammatory diet. They're probably going to tell you to eat some stuff you don't want to eat, but maybe just cutting out some of the bad stuff you're eating can help cut the inflammation down in your body that might be causing the tennis elbow. I'm no medical person for sure, but that's what I've dealt with it myself. Quack grass is my biggest enemy, lawn enemy. Maxburg, the soil temp needs to be high 50s, close to 60 for turf top tall fescue to germinate. Keep it moist and have patience. Yeah, Maxburg is up in New York, so maybe the soil temperatures are not warm enough yet. All right. I have 3-month-old Zorozoia, and I have a 13 fert on it the first month and just hit it with lawn energizer 7 I am having sedge and general weed problem. Yeah, I'd go easy just hammering it with fertilizer right off the bat. The rule of thumb is kind of once it needs mowed twice. So don't pound it with the fertilizers just yet. Just let it get rooted and get established. And then, but yeah, you know, sedges and weeds, it's new grass. You probably hadn't put any kind of pre-emergent on, which is good. I wouldn't. My advice would be water it. You know, once it starts growing, start mowing it. Just gently take the top off. Don't cut it way down low and stress it all out. And just get it through this summer alive, and then we put your fall pre-emergent out, and you'll help. You know, I just wouldn't go out there and start pounding it with fertilizer and herbicides, trying to make it look perfect this first year. Keep it alive, and in the next year you can have it looking great. I'm curious if it's safe to use a herbicide on grass this young. Okay. Yeah, like I said, rule of thumb is after it's been mowed twice before you spray anything. So what the grass does is going to start growing roots, and then it'll start growing leaves. So you mow it, and then it grows, and you mow it again. So that may take a little while before it needs mowed twice. But I would just go easy on the herbicides and just be okay with it having a few weeds in it this first year. How much would you charge for shrub trimming? Oh man, right now I'd charge, if somebody asked me to trim the shrub, I'd want to charge at least $100 an hour, because I don't want to do it and cleaning up for it and all that. I think that's a premium service that you need to charge more than you'd get for mowing and things like that. So let's say mowing, you're charging $65 per person per hour. I think you charge more than that for shrubs, because it's something people don't want to do, and it's harder work, just to be honest with you. T-zone rocks. Is there a less intense way to get rid of wild violet up north using quicksilvers like chemotherapy on a paper cut? Yeah, wild violet. We're using quinclorac products like Q-ball, like Drive Accelerate, like Solitaire. Those work on wild violet. I'm trying to remember the name of that other product. Sure Power, I think it is. I think it's supposedly good for cool season grasses for wild violet. Great Fox, yeah, it's been 50 to 60 air temps, so I had to be patient. Yeah, you might have put your seed out a little early. I don't know. I know you may have put it out trying to get it established. So you had to put it out there, but it may have been a little too early. But we'll see. Maybe it'll. Maybe the weather should be warming up soon, even in New York. We'll see if it germinates. Should I get a license to spray for weeds for hire? Yes, you do have to have a license to do that. Appreciate the videos on the weed ID. Thanks for the live. Have a great night, buddy. Michael, I'm sorry I wasn't able to help you more, but thanks for watching. Yes, you need a license to spray, no doubt. Greetings from Kent, Washington. Can you treat tall fescue the same as Bermuda for weed control? We answered that one. No, you cannot. Hey, Jason, thanks for the videos and getting into business for myself. Hey, that's great, man. I love being self-employed. And no, different grasses, some kills one and not the other. Yeah, there'll be some products you can use on both, but a lot of products you can use on one, not the other. I'm still having difficulty with pricing. Yeah, I mean, pricing, it's going to take you a little while to figure it out. I mean, you price so low, you can be profitable at low prices, but that's not necessarily a good thing. Because it creates a bad image. You attract the wrong kind of customers. So you got to kind of figure out, play around with that. And if you keep giving people quotes and almost nobody ever tells you no, then your prices are probably too low. Ronnie, late in the spring, summer can't go wrong with Milorganite. Maybe that was the one. I forget the question for that. But how do you price fertilizer, herbicide, insecticides? So I have a pricing chart based on per 1,000 square feet. So at 2,000 square feet is this price, 3,000 square feet is this price, 4,000 square feet is this price. I'll do a shameless plug. I do have a weed control documents package on my website, lawncarelife.com. It comes with lots of stuff, but in one thing, there is a sample pricing guide to help you get started at. But like, the price per 1,000 square feet goes down as the size of the yard goes up. That's how I do it. Now, some people have like a base rate. They'll say, I'm going to charge $40 no matter how big, and then I'm going to add $6 for every additional 1,000 square feet. I don't do it that way. I start off at like 2,000 square feet or less is, let's say $32 or what, and that's going to depend on the neighborhood. So that's $16 per 1,000 square feet. Well, at 3,000 square feet, I might be at $13. At 4, I might be at $12. It kind of goes down, down, down. So the price is going up, but the price per thousand is going down. That's how, that's what I'm thinking. All right. Michael, you can go wrong, too much P and no K. All right. What's the best post-emergent for spurweed? I've got a centipede lawn, tall fescue. I'd use change up. If you get, I get that burrweed, like lawn burrweed. I don't know if that's maybe spurweed, something different. What's good fertilizer to use in summer in Mississippi? Well, it depends on what grass you got. I mean, but if you're dealing with Bermuda lawns, I use a 3806 slow release blend. But if it's Bermuda, you can go higher nitrogen, Bermuda, zoysia, centipede, or St. Augustine. You're going to not as much nitrogen on those. All right. Hello, Jason from Double Dragon. I remember you from a previous time. I'm going to try to get to the end of the question here. We're going to cut this off. Hey, Jason, any good recommendation on good granular fertilizer for a friend that has free-range chickens, organics only? I'm sorry. I don't know about advice for the chickens. I don't think the chickens are eating the fertilizer. I'll just say that. I don't know. I've got chickens, but that's not a big consideration for me. I planted Bermuda seed last year. I put out pre-emergent. We got the snowmageddon. My Bermuda did not come back. You know what? You might have got some winter kill there in that situation where your Bermuda was young and not really established, and it couldn't handle that. And I know y'all got an unusually cold winter. Rome, Georgia says, hey, and thank you for the videos. Appreciate you watching over in Rome, Georgia. I've learned so much from your weed identifying videos. I always call Dallisgrass clump grass. There you go. Always price high. I kind of like that too. How much would you price mulch? If you get it at like, let's say, what is it, $35 a yard or something? I don't know what it is, but I'd say you quadruple that, at least. So you might charge 130 for that, or 140, whatever, installed. So maybe quadruple your cost, your triple to quadruple your expenses of the cost of the mulch. 2,4-D mixed with triclopyr, add a surfactant, will kill broadleaf weeds and knock out wild violet. Inexpensive too. There you go. Hey, I love it when the people leaving comments give answers. That is great. How do you get a license to spray for weeds? Usually, I contact your Department of Agriculture, your state Department of Agriculture, and depending on what state you're in, there's going to be different requirements. $120 per cubic yard of mulch. There you go. That's great. So if you're buying it at $30 a yard, you quadruple it, you get to 120. If you're buying it at 35, you may go up to 130 or something. So yeah, I've seen in that range, 120 to 140 range. Why don't you use your Darwin's grip on your weed ear anymore? I do have Darwin's grip. I kind of like the concept of Darwin's grip. It definitely helps as far as not bending over more. I like flipping my weed eater upside down. I don't think it's awesome for that. So that's one of the reasons I'm not using it. But it's a great product and great concept. Hello, I'm here in Huntsville. Thank you for your informative videos, expertise. I have Bermuda lawn with various crabgrass and clover. I have not aerated. Can you give me your plan of attack? Well, I mean, at this point in time, it's tough when you're in May and you've got crabgrass and stuff. Now you can get rid of the clover. I mean, but like you really need to put a pre-emergent out before the crabgrass and all that germinates. So when you say various crabgrass, I mean, a lot of times people, and I don't know what you're calling crabgrass, but a lot of times people have a lot of grassy weeds and they say, oh, this is crabgrass and that's a different kind of crab, but it may actually be a bunch of different kind of grassy weeds, and some or none may be crabgrass. It's just, I don't know. If you truly got crabgrass, you can use quinclorac now as a post-emergent, but it's hard to get rid of this time of year on through the summer. So you need to spray it next year. You may just say, hey, I'm going to learn this year, and next year I'm going to fix it. So, start with in the fall, you want to put your fall pre-emergent out, pre and post-emergent, and then make sure you get a pre-emergent out like January or February of next year so that you won't have the crabgrass. But you got to understand what weeds you actually have, because you may have other grassy weeds that you're calling crabgrass. The clover, I mean, there's a lot of products, metsulfuron or Celsius or Celsius, change up, lots of products will kill clover. Thank you, G Group. I'll have a look at that. We use Quicksilver for moss. It works somewhat for wild violet, just so harsh on grass. Yeah, and looking at Sure Power, see if wild violets on that one. They have a centipede lawn. I fertilized. I noticed lots of lime green spots in the lawn. Lime green spots in Tallahassee, Florida. Somebody told me that last time. They had like lime green spots, seemed like in their lawn. I don't know. I would just give a little bit more time and start mowing it regular and see if it fixes itself. There could be a number of reasons for that. 150 per cubic yard of mulch. There you go. He's the same guy that said price high. Oh no, he's the same guy that said 120, and now he's already went up to 150. There you go. He's raised his price significantly. So anyway, let's say anywhere from 120 to 150 per yard of cubic mulch. I don't think when people want it done, they're necessarily going to whine about $10 more or anything like that. All right, I've used crossbow so far on a yard lawn for lawn without weed out and prodiamine. All right, crossbow, I thought it was like killing all kind of brush and stuff. Do you have to get insured and bonded spray for weeds fire? It's probably a good idea. I'm not sure if it's mandatory. How would you price pulling weeds or similar labor stuff that doesn't necessarily involve buying materials? Man, I would, you got to figure out kind of an hourly man hour rate. I mean, I would say at least $65 an hour for pulling weeds. I would charge at least that. That was me. Whatever your mowing grass is rate, and whenever they want you to do something like that, I'd go higher. Do you have a favorite customer? No, but I've got some I really like. I mean, I got some. One guy gives me $100 tip at Christmas time, and some I just enjoy talking to. They come out and they talk to you. So probably had a few on the least favorite list too. What do I use to kill clover on grass but doesn't kill the grass? I did some videos on that. So if you'll Google or YouTube search how to kill clover, lawn care life, it should come up. But depends on what kind of grass you got. Again, a lot of products will kill clover. I did a video spraying Katana, Change Up, Celsius, and Blindside all on clover to see how well they work. Katana didn't do so good. The other products all killed it without hurting the grass. Can I use a small pump motor in a 75-gallon tank? What size pump should I get? What size hose should I need? A roller pump or a 12-volt pump? I don't know. I'm not as familiar with like the beginner setups and certain like building your own homemade setup. I buy mine from the Graham spray equipment. Honestly, I let them do all the work, but it's not a kind of a beginner system. I think I have a 3/8-inch hose, I believe, on there, and 400-gallon tank, and so I'm sorry, not much help on that one. Any issues with that combo? I'm not sure what combo. I installed St. Augustine grass in my yard, and the yard's primarily centipede, with St. Augustine taking over centipede in North Florida area. There you go, St. Augustine taking over centipede. Sometimes those will blend together and look decent. The only problem I see is we usually mow centipede real low and most St. Augustine real high. How do you advertise? For me, it's mostly on getting my website, getting leads off the internet, and also just building relationships with people. So I do weed control fertilization. I got to know a lot of the mowing guys, and they send me customers. And then my existing customers send me referrals. I spray iron on my centipede to darken it. There you go. That's one option. You got to be careful with the iron staining things. $100 tip. Well, hey, it's just one guy does it. But actually, I've had two give me a $100 tip. Do you have a customer that habitually lies and complains? One is not only complaining about the neighbors in our house, but also saying I did wrong last video. I take the pics now. I had one, Michael, that this person accused us one time of not mowing their lawn, and we mowed their lawn. They said, we don't think we mowed your lawn. And now you had this one lady, she would hand write out basically a full page letter and tape it on the door just about every time. And we were out there picking up little twigs and stuff. I don't know why I put up with that stuff. And finally she fired me, and I don't think she paid. I forget, but we were so relieved. I just think you get rid of them people, man. They just get rid of them and be done with them. Is your Graham spray rig roller pump? I have a Bean piston pump on mine. I know sometimes they use the diaphragm pumps, but mine's that Bean BEAN piston pump. So hope that helps, man. I made it to the end. You guys hung in there for a long time. We did an hour and a half tonight. Next week, I got my friend James Barley on here. He is fantastic about lawn care with over 40 years in the industry. He's also got an agronomy degree, and he knows a lot about fertilizer. So bring your questions, and he's going to be much more qualified on the cool season grasses as well. Yeah, that's why I got piston pump and quinclorac, just yellows crabgrass. Yeah, it's hard to kill crab. That's what I'm saying, man. It's hard to kill it in the summer. It's just hard to kill it. I just about quit spraying it. I just whatever. Just don't even worry about it anymore. How should you advertise it as a beginner? We talk about knocking on doors, doing social media, Facebook, get some other people to help refer you on Facebook and things like that. Kayla, I appreciate you answering that question for me earlier. Appreciate you watching. Thanks for watching, whether you did live or on the replay, and we will try to be back next Monday night and with my special guest, James Bartley. Talk to you guys later. Bye.